Good evening, faithful televiewers of Dash Media. You're watching your program, The Guest of the Newsroom. Special number because we are broadcasting from Lagos, Nigeria. And tonight we are going to talk about FINTECH. We are receiving a master of FINTECH, a young Nigerian entrepreneur, aged 35, to talk about FINTECH, what benefits. Now we are sending the transition and we'll be right back for the development of your program. See you. We are back here in set, dear televiewers, and as I was announcing at the beginning of this program, we are receiving a young entrepreneur, a young Nigerian entrepreneur in FINTECH under the team FINTECH, what benefits. His name is Charles AVIS. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much, Eva. How are you doing today?
Fine, and thank you. Welcome
Awesome.
on this set.
Thank you so much.
So, which part of Nigeria are you coming from, Mr. Charles?
My state of origin is Kogi State, but I'm resident here in Lagos.
Okay, perfect. So now let's talk about what brings us here, FINTECH. You are a young entrepreneur, 35 years old, and already CEO of 4 enterprises.
Awesome. Yeah.
What do you owe your success to?
I will say that my success is attached to my doggedness and my consistent drive to solve or make the world itself a better place. Growing up, I've always wanted to be able to provide a solution that is going to affect millions of people. And every decision I've made, right from 2007 and now, has been geared towards, providing such services. And that's what has created the division across the companies which I currently run.
Perfect. And what motivates you? What motivated you in creating all these enterprises?
Okay, so I would say profit. Yeah, it starts by the urge and drive to solve problem for a lot of people. If you look at the index of the number of people who are financially included globally, you realize that there's a huge demographic of people who are left out. Right now, the entire global financial inclusion program is built on corporation intent and decision to want to expand their businesses. But most of the time, there are villages, there are communities that the economic activities in those areas cannot provide the adequate return for corporate organizations. So those corporate organizations don't find it, worthy enough to be able to extend, their business to those places. Hence, you are leaving huge markets to be financially excluded. All right. So what I identified was, how can we provide a system through which we can reach millions of people and empower millions of people? So like I was saying, most corporations stop their expansion at the city. Why? Because the remuneration and the comeback of the profits is measurable with the investment. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And your 4 companies are for the people. Is that what you mean?
Oh yes, they are. Yes, for the people basically. Of course, in the process, yeah, we get to, you get to do business out of it. But the focus has been financial inclusion on a global scale, basically.
Okay, let's talk about your newborn baby, the last one, Yan. What exactly are the benefits of Yan to the Nigerian community, or even to your public?
Awesome. So the current problem, right from 2010 till date, we have seen a huge innovation and a huge adoption of innovation in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where you see a lot of businesses taking their business to online. And the existence of that created another problem, which is a lot of false merchants fraud. They are taking advantage of a lot of people. So what Yan is doing is bridging the gap between a buyer and seller. So Yan is an instant messaging app, just like WhatsApp. I can see it, right? It automatically converts your chat into an agreement and create an escrow between yourself and as a buyer and the vendor, such that we promote and establish trust between two parties.
So it is basically a commercial app to facilitate business transactions.
Basically. But it is leveraging on the natural orders of things. Now, when you check how people negotiate online, you go to Instagram, you go to Twitter, you go to all the social media platforms. All negotiations happen through chats. And that's what informed or gave about the insight to design an instant messaging app such that as you're chatting, you don't need to go to another platform to create a contract.
Yeah.
Our AI automatically converts your chat into an agreement, and that is automatically delivered to both parties in their email, basically.
And what about your first company? What are its activities and what is the name of this company?
All right, you're talking about FusePay.
Yeah.
FusePay is a US-based company, and we're a blockchain company that is leveraging on blockchain to provide, financial inclusion solutions.
Exactly.
There are over 100 wallet providers in the world.
Okay.
So we agree with me, your presence here in Lagos, you are faced with challenges as to spending cash.
Exactly.
Even though you have money
Exactly.
in your bank, but you can't
Exactly.
spend that. And these are limitations. So what we are doing at FusePay through a product called FinSwitch is that we are creating what is called wallet interoperability.
Okay.
And this year we are going to be expanding across 15 African countries, all right,
Okay.
which are country inclusive, right?
Yes.
So, and that creates opportunity for your bank to integrate on our platform. So when you come here, you can just use your bank app directly and spend without having that barrier. But all of this thing happens through the leverage of blockchain technology.
This takes me to my next question. Do you think the African market is favorable to fintech? Is it receptive?
Oh yes. As a matter of fact, the global landscape is focusing on the African market because you have the population of over 1.2 to 1.3 billion people here in Africa. Okay. And that's a huge market, right? Exactly. And Nigeria is taking the forerunner of that with over 200 million population. So, exactly. And where there is number, there is value, all right? Because value is number is the basis of value.
Economic value.
Exactly. So, so the impact and the reception of fintech in Africa is tremendous. Even though we are yet to scratch the surface. A typical example of that would be here in Nigeria, we have just about 44 million BVN, approximately 44 million BVN holders, and that creates the basis of Nigerian financial system, including the insurance, the bank, all the fintechs who have raised billions of dollars, right?
Yeah. Or
who are worth billions of dollars. But that is less than 50% of the population, all right? The statistics says about 120 million people in Nigeria are youth. So we have an average of 60 million who are excluded. So the opportunity itself is huge. And needless to talk about, some of the countries which I have gone to, some of African countries where you see there is a huge gap. If you go to somewhere in Guinea, you realize that there is a huge gap in their understanding or their adoption of fintech technology. I feel, from our corporate objective that when people are empowered financially through the power of technology, business booms, you create more opportunities for African youth to actually showcase their talent on a global scale without the limit of geographical location.
The currency shortage issue is really booming in Nigeria in the midst of the general elections in the country, and I think it is favorable to people like you.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Affirmation?
Oh yes, yeah. Even though, of course, that does not, tone down or remove the fact that it affects a lot of people.
Yes.
But the behavioral change that it's going to happen is that there is a surge in the adoption of, contactless solutions, use of, POS, and a lot of people are now forced to actually then adopt, fintech solutions as a means of accepting payment.
Okay, and what do you think as a youth about the Nigerian economic market, actually?
Okay, so if you see what has been happening within a couple of years, from music industry to talent industry, you see that Nigerians individually are very, very remarkable set of people. They are go-getter and they are very, very good at what they do individually. All right, of course, we do understand that we have some leadership crisis, but for youth, right, the opportunity that exists is that some of the youth now are getting jobs, online jobs, and then the amount of money generated through remittances as a result of, sitting here in Nigeria and working for, company overseas, right, is increasing, right? Because I'm an employer of labor, and we do have some of our staff, not even just resident in Nigeria, in other parts of the country. And that is the same thing that I feel that every Nigerians, right, need to look up to, the inherent ability, in each individual, and the value of that on a global scale. Sometimes we do not know the value of what we have until we go outside there to see, and put that value on a scale before we realize how much valuable, our potential or our skills is on that scale.
What do we hear a lot about Nigerian entrepreneurs, about Nigerian actors in the music industry? What do you think Nigerians owe the success of this music industry, of the entertainment industry in general, and even the youths who are engaged in entrepreneurship? Are they accompanied by the authorities? Is there a form of funding, financing to help young entrepreneurs boost their activities or idea?
No, absolutely not. Right. I feel the economic climate and the political climate have somewhat a degree of influence on how dogged Nigerians are.
Okay.
Right. And that's because you are absolute, right? You are all round. You are your own government because you provide light, you provide internet, you provide all the basic amenities for you as an individual. And I think that has affected and has created a domino effect, right, across all the people within this region. So everybody is dogged. And that's why you see, when Nigerians travel outside the country, they do exceedingly well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I work as an average of 18 hours a day, and for me, it's normal. So you see, if I go outside Nigeria to take an employment, I'm just going to be myself. But that is an exceptionality on that scale, right? And that's because the economic climate has positioned us in a way that we have become more tough. They said that, tough time creates tough people. And that's what it is.
Okay, so as a young Nigerian, a lot of young Nigerians in the street told us about the high rate of unemployability and really the strain it is to find a job, to find a position even after studying. What do you think this is due to?
Okay, all right. So, the social media itself has also impacted us. While technology is a part of what is helping our day-to-day efficiency, it has also significantly impacted us, right? So we have this current generation who put more and who put less effort in, cogent things than actually things that matter. So, of course, the government itself had their own share of the blame, right? But then it's still resident on each individual. So we have more people looking for job than more people willing to take, entrepreneurship. Absolutely right.
Is it not because entrepreneurship has to be financed personally and people find it more difficult?
Oh, yes, I agree with you that way. However, we that are doing it, we are not privileged, right? I came from a very humble family, right? And I started out at the age of 14 as an entrepreneur, selling a couple of things. I think it's about having a vision, right? And having the patriotism enough. I have an opportunity not to live in Nigeria, right? But I am resident in Nigeria and I provide labor, right? And I employ, hundreds, right? And that's the concept basically. We have more people looking for a job than more people who are willing to try, to create a job. But then if you look at the fintech industry in the last 5 years, you see that Nigeria rated #1 in the world taking finances. And, you check our music industry, boom. You check our financial industry, boom, because we are one of the best financial technology country in the world because we have our financial solutions are highly innovative. You see the likes of Flutterwave, you see the like of Paystack, it's the like of Kuda, it's the like of Monify, and these are companies that are already unicorn, valued over $3 billion. All right, and we're talking about these companies attained their level of value in less than 8 years. You know what I'm saying? So if we have more people who are willing to take the doggedness and willing to strain it just a little bit, because at the moment the venture capital landscape are more favorable for people who are creating sustainable products, because it's not just to create a product, you need to look at the scalability of that product on a global landscape. How much is this product able to scale from 1 to 10, 10 to 100?
Yeah.
And what's the impact of that when you go to other countries? And that's basically, if our youth can take that and focus more on creating more value that are sustainable, yeah, you can get more people and get a lot of people out of unemployment here in Nigeria.
So I take you to your words, and it's a reality. For a better economy, a country has to be stable politically talking. And we'll talk about politics right now.
That's fine.
Do you think we heard a lot young people in the streets and other voters of aged 60, 50, repeating Labour Party, we want new blood, we want fresh blood, we want Peter Obi, we want... Do you think Peter Obi represents hope for young Nigerians?
Oh, yes. You know, so even though the context of, you know, party is an individual decisions, however, when you look at the history of Nigeria, right, Peter Obi resonates, you know, a limelight. However, so Nigeria is a diverse country. We have quite, you know, numerous languages, right? In Kogi State, we have more than 5 to 6 languages in Kogi State itself. And then before you then look at all the 36 states, right, with different ethnic group and, you know, dynamism. So you also want a candidate that have the ability to sustain structure, right? Because I have my opinion that, you know, even though if Peter Obi becomes president today, you know, there will still be some, you know, people who are antagonizing, right? And his ability to be able to bring Nigeria into that oneness, you know, being from the east, that I doubt. But when it comes to competence base, right, I know that he has the track record to do that, basically,
So what, according to you, is the place of the youth in Nigerian politics? Because when scrolling the list for the National Assembly members who have to be elected as well as the presidential and vice presidential candidates, we didn't see people aged less than 50. Do the youth have a role to play in Nigerian politics?
Oh, absolutely. But I do have an opinion to that. Money is the baseline for power, right? So what we need to do is we need more Nigerian youth taking their individual life, because you cannot do public leadership without first succeeding at self-leadership, right? We need youth taking their life, you know, doing businesses on a global scale so that they can create political structure that is not dependent on godfatherism, right? Because godfatherism is a structure of poverty where, you know, someone who is high, right, help someone who is young through a career, and then they hold an entitlement to the favor, you know, they have done for the person. But which is what you have seen Labour Party has done, right? You see what Peter Obi has done. Both Dati and Peter Obi themselves, they are entrepreneurs, they are technocrats, right? They are individually successful as business owners, right? And that's what we need to do. We need more Nigerians who are successful in business, right, to get involved in politics so that they can create a sustainable structure, right, that is not, you know, based on this godfatherism. Yeah, basically.
Okay, so I am a young entrepreneur, or I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be like Charles AVIS. What is the advice that you can give me?
All right, so nowadays, mental resilience and fortitude is lacking in our youth, right? And that's because a lot of people feel that the government should do everything. While I was growing, the number one thing I did was to eliminate the idea and the expectation that government is going to do anything for me, right? So if you have such idea, then we now come back to you must be a change person, right? And we have the what we call the sustainable development goals. Look at the sustainable development goals and look at what problems are there in the world, because the number of people experiencing a particular problem says the quotient of business opportunities in that industry. And those who are successful today, who are highly who are providing impact on a global scale, are people who are solving cogent problem we have in the world. So we just need people who are less greedy, right, and self-centered about I just want to build a family, exactly, and then just get married, and that's it. We have a lot of them today who just want to sustain, right? And I don't see a reason why I have to work 18 hours when I can just sit down there, because it's not the lack of money, right? It is the ability to create a transgenerational positive influence that impacts millions of people, inspire millions of people, and that starts from being a problem solver. Today we have a lot of people, they don't like problem. They think problem is anti-success.
Solution, of course.
Meanwhile, problem is a stepping stone to success. Exactly. No successful man can say that I have become successful exclusive of, not having problems. So the problems, the degree of problems that you're able to solve also speaks to the degree of opportunity you are able to assess. Yes. And that's my advice. Learn resilience, fortitude, and then, learn to identify huge impact problem and dedicate your life to solve them. Every other thing will come along the way, the competence, the network, the finance, because the world will always put a focal point on anything that makes them to advance. A typical example will be an investor. We have, different venture capital firm with $100 million, $1 billion, who are looking for where to put it. But they're not stupid, right? They are going to put it where there is high return. And that's what every youth out there needs to think about and be able to structure themselves competent enough to position for such opportunities.
It's true, while we're talking, you must have developed about this, but can you give us in 3 or 4 points the benefits of FinTech?
All right, so the number one benefit of FinTech is it creates general opportunity for everybody, the same opportunity. So what it means is that you can have your business here and someone in China have the ability to patronize without the geographical limitations.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
first benefit.
Yeah, that's the first benefit. All right. Then the second benefit, it means that we can have democratization, right, of companies. Mm-hmm. So what that means is that instead of having one big corporation serving the whole world, we can have like 10,000 of those, what's it called, small companies. Yes. So you see companies like Paystack, they created, infrastructure, and small businesses can, take their solution and build more on that, right? And then the other opportunities that avail is that it exposes you to unlimited economic opportunities because you are providing a solution that is digital based, right? The amount of people you can reach person to person, right, is limited. But now you can spend $100 and then reach out to 10,000 people. And that's the remarkable part of FinTech. So I was speaking at, Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transportation, and I was talking about the interoperability of that particular ecosystem, of the maritime ecosystem. And that is that everything that is moving, that you are using today, from the mic to your phone to your glasses, is powered by maritime, all right? But then that industry has not seen innovation, and there are opportunities in that area. Which other area there are opportunities? Trust fund, right? I was talking to some entrepreneurs who are trying to do democratization of trust fund, right? Which means even poor people can access trust fund, right? And these are the problems. These are the problems we need to look at. So there is unlimited opportunities, that economic opportunities that are created in FinTech for those who are doing it.
It is time to tell you thank you, Mr. Charles AVIS.
Thank you so much,
Eva. Accepted our invitation.
You're welcome. I really appreciate you bringing me on this.
Thank you. Thank you, faithful televiewers of Dash Media, the voice of Africa, for watching your program, The Guest of the Newsroom. We're receiving Mr. Charles AVIS, who is a young Nigerian CEO and master of FinTech. And we were talking under the theme FinTech, what's benefits? See you as from next week for another number of your program. And stay tuned to Dash Media for the continuity of programs on our channel and platforms. As for me, see you next week and have a wonderful evening on our channel. Goodbye.